Hello students, welcome to GK's Applied Maths classes. Okay, your ultimate CBSE class 12th mathematics guide. Okay, now in this video, I'm going to discuss about financial mathematics. We are going to talk about financial mathematics, which is chapter 7 in your CBSE handbook. So I am going to introduce you to financial mathematics. Uh, Under that, there are a lot of subdivisions. What are those subdivisions? We'll see later. Okay, and we are also going to solve exercise 7.1 from your CBSE handbook. So first I'll introduce you to perpetuity, then I will do exercise 7.1 from your CBSE handbook. And in subsequent videos, I will be discussing the entire chapter of financial mathematics and rest of the chapters. So for that, I request you to subscribe to my channel and also to click on the bell icon so that you get further notifications on the videos that I post. Okay. So shall we make a beginning? Okay. Now, perpetuity. Now, before I enter into perpetuity, I want to talk to you about this particular thing called compound interest. Everything begins from compound interest. Everything begins with compound interest. The entire chapter of financial mathematics revolves around compound interest. Now, from compound interest, under various conditions and various application, your compound interest is nothing but annuity. Your compound interest is nothing but annuity, where you have ordinary annuity and annuity due. There are different types of annuity that we can talk later, which you have discussed it in class 11th. Okay, so annuity is nothing but compound interest. Okay, how do I calculate the amount? How do I calculate the principal? Here I use the word future value, I use the word present value. I'm sure you all are aware about what present value and future value from class 11th. Okay, in the course of the class, I will also try to explain wherever it's necessary what these terms are. Okay, but the basis for all this is compound interest. From compound interest, okay, I come to annuity. Annuity is very, very important. Now, from annuity, if I impose certain conditions, it becomes perpetuity. So perpetuity is nothing but an annuity. If you put some other condition, some other application, or some other understanding, it's called sinking fund. So sinking fund is also a type of annuity. If you put some other restriction on it, you have EMI. All these chapters we are going to do under financial mathematics. EMI is nothing but an annuity. Basically, it's about calculating compound interest. Now, if you put some other condition, you have compounded annual growth rate. Compounded annual growth rate. And you also come across effective and nominal rate of interest. Right? So these are the topics that I am going to do under financial maths. Of course, there's one more topic where we talk about depreciation. So all these are effectively annuity. So if you have studied annuity in class 11th, okay, if you have understood annuity in class 11th, we are literally going to do the same thing, apply the same formula. Only thing is our terminologies will change based on each individual condition. If the condition is something, you call it perpetuity. If the condition is something else, it's called sinking fund. If the condition is different, then it is EMI. So basically all this come under a common name called annuity, which is basically, you have to keep in mind, it is very as simple as class 8 or 9 compound interest. So financial mathematics is not at all difficult as far as the understanding is concerned. Of course, you should have patience in doing the calculation. So my advice to you is, do not ignore calculation if you want to do well in the board exam. Whenever you do a problem, make sure you complete the problem completely without touching your calculator. Okay, this is my advice. With that, we'll make a beginning. So I'm going to start with this chapter called perpetuity. Okay, now what is perpetual? The English word, the perpetual means never ending. It continues. Keep on, it goes on forever. So that is what perpetual is. Okay, now what is perpetuity? As I already told you, perpetuity is an annuity. There's no difference between annuity and perpetuity. Now, perpetuity is an annuity in which a periodic payment is made, okay, at the a periodic payment is made at a fixed date and continue forever, okay, and it continues forever. Perpetuity is an annuity in which a periodic payment is made, okay, you periodically make a payment, okay, a fixed amount is paid. For example, this is the beginning, this is first year, this is second year, this is third term, this is fourth term. It can be year or term, doesn't matter. At the beginning of each period, I make a common payment. Every time I keep paying amount R. A very simple example is, you have heard about fixed deposit in a bank. Okay, in a fixed deposit, what do you do? At the end of the period, you pay, or in the beginning you start with an amount, say 1,000 rupees. Okay, you pay 1,000 rupees in the beginning. After every term, after every month, in the beginning of every month, you pay 1,000 rupees. At the beginning of every month, you pay 1,000 rupees. But fixed deposit, I'm sorry, not fixed deposit, recurring deposit, RD, recurring deposit, RD, will not fall under the category of perpetuity, because your recurring deposit is going to be for a stipulated period of time. Like suppose if you say, I'm going to pay RD for 1 year. If you want to pay RD for 1 year or recurring deposit for 1 year, you will stop at the end of 1 year and you collect the maturity value. You take the maturity value and then you can invest somewhere else based on the interest rate. Okay, so fixed recurring deposit do not fall into the category of perpetuity, because the payment is not, this rupees 1,000 is not going to be paid forever. You understand? At one point of time, it has to end after 1 year, or if it is after 2 years, it depends on how many periods, till how long you want to pay the recurring deposit. Suppose you want to pay the recurring deposit for 2 years, at the end of 2 years it stops, and then you get the maturity value, and then you get the amount with the interest. Since the period ends, it doesn't go forever. Even though you pay a constant amount at the beginning of each period, it does not come under the category of perpetuity. Then what is perpetuity? There's another example. Suppose you are taking a house for rent. Okay, suppose I am the house owner and you are paying the rent. Okay, I will be receiving the rent continuously as long as the property exists. You see, forever. Suppose the property exists forever, I will be getting that rent continuously. I means the house will be getting that rent continuously. So that payment, suppose the house rent is 1,000 rupees per month. So every month you will be paying 1,000 rupees to me. So as long as that house belongs to me, as long as that house exists, I will continue to get the 1,000 rupees. So this payment of 1,000 rupees that you make every month will go on forever, indefinitely. Whereas in a recurring deposit, it is not the case, because after 1 year you stop, or after 2 years you stop. But as long as this property belongs to me, as long as this property exists, I will be continuously getting that money. So rental income, rent is a perpetuity. Suppose you invest in shares and the company pays you dividend. So I will receive dividend as long as, let us assume that company always exists. So if the company is going to exist forever, I will continue, but theoretically, I will be getting the dividend throughout till the company exists. So let us assume the company will exist forever. Since it exists forever, there is no way my dividend will be stopped. Since that payment is also continuous. So since the dividend is received by me till the company vanishes or bankrupt, okay, that is why it comes under the term called perpetuity. Perpetuity means something that someone gets or someone pays continuously forever. You are paying rent every month, okay, as long as the property exists. You means not you. It may be someone else, but the rent is paid for the property. So as long as the property exists, you have to pay the rent. Okay. So that is called perpetuity. So I hope you understood what perpetuity is. Perpetuity is forever. You make a payment forever, indefinitely. You don't know when to stop the payment. Recurring deposit is not a perpetuity. Now look at these terms. Already you know these terms. Present value. Okay, now what is present value? Suppose this is the first year, okay, or first month. You are paid 1,000 rupees. This is the money that you are paying. Now what is the value of this money now? The value of the money. What is the present value of that money now? Based on the specific rate of interest. You may be paying 1,000 rupees. If the company is doing well, if you are getting a reasonable interest, definitely your present value will also be, it won't be just 1,000 rupees, it will be little more. So it depends on how the company is doing. So present value is the value of the money at a particular time. Okay, it's not exactly this. This is 1,000. The amount that you pay periodic, it's a periodic payment. But present value is the value of 1,000 at present. Okay. Now, what is future value? Future value or amount, like I said, right, in recurring deposit, you pay a certain amount of money every month, and at the end of the term, you get a maturity amount. That maturity amount is called amount, or otherwise called future. What is the future value? I am able to predict the future value in recurring deposit because the period of payment is definite. You are going to stop after 1 year, or you are going to stop after 2 years. But whereas in perpetuity, you don't know when you are going to stop this periodic payment. Since you don't know when you are going to stop this periodic payment, it is meaningless to talk about future value. It is meaningless to talk about future value for a perpetuity. This you should never forget, because they can ask you in an MCQ question. Okay, suppose they will say future value for perpetuity is, it's undefined. It is impossible to calculate the future value for perpetuity because the period of payment is indefinite. It goes on forever. N is infinity. Okay, so something that you should not forget. So again, I'll repeat, perpetuity is what is nothing but periodic payment that you make at the beginning of every term, continuously forever. So which is not a perpetuity. Recurring deposit that you do for 1 year or 2 years or 6 months, whatever you call it, if the period of time is definite, then that is not a perpetuity. Whereas rental income, every month you pay a rent to a particular person, you will continue to pay, or that person continue to receive as long as the property exists. You don't know when that property will not exist. So it's indefinite. So since it is indefinite and since the payment is made periodically, it's called perpetuity. Now you can talk about present value, the value of the money at a particular instant. Okay, the present value, you can talk about present value for a perpetuity, but you cannot talk about future value for annuity, for perpetuity, because future value is not defined, because you don't know when the future is. You don't know when it is going to end. If you know when it is going to end, then you know that is a future value. Okay, I hope the theory of perpetuity is clear to some extent. Now let's go to how to do the formulas. We need some formulas to calculate the future value, calculate the present value. Okay. Now how do I calculate the present value of perpetuity? Derivation is not at all important, but I always believe that if you understand derivation, you don't have to by heart the formula, and the formula makes sense to you. That is why I don't want to waste my time in deriving it here, so I have written the formula. Okay. Now this is a very simple compound interest formula. Amount equal to P into 1 plus I power n. Okay. Keep this in your mind. Now, what is a type 1 type of problem? Periodic payment. Okay, periodic payment of rupees, or there's a mistake here, of rupees R, a periodic payment of rupees R is made at the end of each payment period. Is made at the end of each payment period. You don't make the payment in advance. You don't make the payment in the beginning. Suppose you go to a house, they'll take rent in advance. Okay, you have to pay for the month that you are living. Okay, if you are going for say EMI, sometimes they may give you. You can start paying the money after 1 month. Okay, so here the payment is made at the end of each payment period, and it is made forever. Now here this is it. See, this is the beginning, 0. Okay, at present. Now this is the first period. It can be 1 year or 6 months. We don't know. This is the first period. This is the second period. This is the third period, and this is the fourth period. Okay. Now you are not making any payment in the beginning because the payment is made at the end of each period. At the end only you are making the payment. So I make a payment R. Again I make R because equal amount is paid at the end of each period. You are making a rupees R is made at the end of each payment. You see, rupees R is made at the end of each payment period. So at the end of first year, at the end of second year, end of third year, end of fourth year, you keep paying the money. Okay. Now I want to calculate the present value. Now present value is basically, please understand, this principal is your present value. At present, what is the value? So for first year, my P1, okay, I call this P as P1, is nothing but your amount is the what I can say is the amount that you have, that you are paying that amount. You are paying rupees R. So this is the amount that exists. So amount equal to present value into 1 plus I power 1. So it is for 1 year. So from this, what is P? R by 1 plus I. So that is the present value of R. This is the present value of R at the end of 1 month or end of first period. You see, this is first period. Now, go to the second part. At the end of second year, at the end of second period, R, again you are making the same payment R. So what is the present value of R? It won't be the same as it was in the first period. So it has to change. So at the end of second term, what is my present value? My present value will be R equal to, because R do not change, P2, present value at the end of second term, into 1 plus I per whole square. N is 2 now, because it's the second period. So from this, what is P2? R by 1 plus I the whole square. Now similarly, for third year, R equal to P3 into 1 plus I the whole cube. There's a mistake here. 1 plus I the whole cube. Why? R do not change. R will remain the same. What is the present value of this R at the end of the third period? So P3 is the present value. P3 into 1 plus I the whole cube. Now you keep going like this. You add them. Now what is the present value of the entire thing? You add 0 plus this plus this plus this plus this. That's what I've written here. You can call this as P1, this is P2, this is P3, and this is P4, and so on. You add all of them. When you add all this, you get a sequence. And clearly, this is a geometric sequence of infinite term. What is the sum of infinite geometric progression? S infinity is A by 1 minus R, where your first term is A by 1 plus I, and the common ratio is 1 by 1 plus I. If you divide this by this, you get the common ratio. I hope you know that, class 11th. If you divide the second term by first term, you get the common ratio. Now, if you apply that in the formula, A is R by 1 plus I into 1 minus R. R is 1 plus I. You simplify it, you get R by I. So this is the formula to calculate the present value of annuity, where rupees R is paid periodically at the end of each period. Rupees R is paid when? At the end of each period. So that is type 1. I hope this is clear. The derivation, if you understand, good. Otherwise, just remember, don't forget the formula. Formula is important. But the derivation always help you to understand lot of terminologies like what is the present value. Okay. And you will also understand, as I told you in the beginning, that perpetuity is nothing but compound interest. Okay. You can get everything from the compound interest formula. A equal to P into 1 plus I power n. Okay, now let's go to the next one. What is the type 2 problem? I have made the periodic payment R when at the end of each period. What if I start making the payment at the beginning itself? I pay it in advance. In the previous case, at 0 it was 0 because I have not made any payment. At the end of that term only I make the payment. Whereas in this case, I make the payment in the beginning itself. Correct? So I do the same thing. Here it is 1 plus I power 0 because it does not begin. N is 0. Here n is 1, n is 2 and so on. If you add all this, you know any number power 0 is 1. So this will be R. Plus from the previous derivation, this is R by I. So the present value formula is R plus R by I. What is this formula for? This is periodic. The rupees R is made when? At the beginning of each period. Forever, infinite. Okay. Whereas in the previous case, R by I, rupees R is made when? At the end of each period. Is that clear? Okay. Now that you understood the formula, let's go to exercise 7.1 and try to solve some problems. Okay. Now what is the question? Find the present value of sequence of payment of rupees 80 made at the end of each 6 months. Here the period is after every 6 months, not annually, made after every 6 months. And continue forever if the money is worth 4% compounded semi-annually. So rupees 80 is made at the end. So it's a first type annuity. So my R is 80. Correct? Now what is my rate of interest? My rate of interest is 4%. But it is compounded semi-annually. So it has to be divided by 2. So what is that? 2 by 100. This is my I. Rate of interest is 2 by I. Now what is the formula? Present value equal to R by I. Now what is R? 80. And what is I? 2 by 100. So this is nothing but 80 into 100 divided by 2, which is 40. So the present value is what? Rupees 4,000. The problem is very, very simple and high possibility for a 2-mark question from this. Okay. The present value, find the present value when the sequence of payment R, this is my R, when it is made at the end. When do I make? Every 6 months. So in a year, I make payment 2 times. So the interest will become half because 4% is for 1 year. So for every 6 months, it will be 4% divided by 2. So my I is 2% and my present value formula is R by I. I hope this is clear. Very, very simple question. Now let's go to the next one. Find the present value of an annuity of rupees 1,800 made at the end of each quarter. Made at the end of each quarter and continue forever if the money is worth 5% compounded quarterly. Previous problem was half yearly. I divided the interest by 2. Here it is quarterly, so the interest should be divided by 4. Very good. Now what is the present value? R equal to 1,800. This is a periodic payment. Now what is the rate of interest? R% by 4. Now what is R? 5 by 400. R%. So 5 by 400. Now don't do the calculation there, just leave it there. Now what formula should I use for present value? Since this payment is made at the end of each quarter, the formula will be R by I. What is R? 1,800. And what is I? 5 by 400. So this will be 1,800 into 400 divided by 5. 5 will go 580 times, right? Now what is 80 into, if you do the calculation, it will be 14,400. I have already calculated and kept because otherwise time will be wasted. Okay, it will be 1,44,000. 1,44,000. 24,000. This is the present value of what? Present value of 1,800. That is made periodically at the end of each period. And why do I divide it by 4? Because it is quarterly. And how do you know? There is nowhere they have used the word perpetuity. How do I know it's perpetuity? Because the payment is made continuously forever. Since it is made continuously forever, it has to be perpetuity. I hope it's clear. Now let's look at this particular question. If the cash equivalent of a perpetuity is rupees 300, payable at the end of each quarter is rupees 24,000. Cash equivalent. So he has given you the present value. So what is the present value? At present, the value of this 300, it is 24,000. What is the periodic payment that I make? R is 300. So you want me to calculate the rate of interest. Now what is rate of interest? I equal to R by 400. Why do I do R by 400? Because it is quarterly, you have to divide it by 4. R by 100 divided by 4 is R by 400. Now here the payment is made at the end of each period. So it is a type 1 perpetuity. So what is present value formula? R by I. Now what is the present value? 24,000. And what is R? 300 divided by what is I? R by 400. So if I cross multiply, you get 24,000 into R by 400. I just cross multiply, equal to 300. So you can cancel this. Correct? So what is R equal to? 300 divided by 4 will go 60 times. So it is 5%. Is it clear? So this way of calculation is better. Instead of taking you can do it in any way, but the calculation you have to do it completely. See, 24,000 into R by 400. Then I just have to do the calculation and cross multiply, and I get the rate of interest. See, the cash equivalent means that's the present value of rupees 300. So that is the periodic payment made at the end of each quarter. At the end means R by I. End of each quarter. Okay. So I find the rate of interest. Now, let's go to this fourth question. If the present value of a perpetuity is 780, payable at the beginning. Okay. Payable at the beginning. That means my R is 780 and my interest rate is 6 by 100. I don't have to divide by 2 or 4 because beginning of each year. So in a year you're going to pay only once. Half yearly means you're going to pay 2 times. So you have to divide by 2. Okay, so 6 by 100. So I want to find my present value. What is present value formula? R plus R by I. Why do I use this formula? Because the payable at the beginning. Now what is present value? What is R? 780 plus 780 divided by 6 by 100, which is 780 plus 780 into 100 divided by 6. So how many times will it go? 6 will go. 6 ones are 6. 130 times. So 780 plus 13 followed by 3 zeros. Now you add them. You get 13,780. This is the amount. Okay. This is question number 4. Now we'll do the last question from perpetuity from your CBSE handbook. The present value of a perpetual income of rupees X at the end of each 6 months is rupees 36,000. I think it's very simple. So the present value is given. What is that? 36,000. And what is your periodic payment? I don't know. So I call it X. What is my rate of interest? 6 by 200. Why 200? Because it is semi-annually. So I divided by 2, which is 3 by 100. And what is the formula? Present value equal to R by I. Why do I use this formula? I use this formula because the payment is made at the end of every 6 months. What is PV? 3600 equal to, what is R? That is X. And my rate of interest is 3 by 100. So from this, X is equal to 36,000. Just cross multiply this and look, consider this as some number. Just cross multiply. 3 by 100. They get cancelled. So what do you get? 0, 18, 9,080. Okay. I hope you understood this. With that, I think we have finished the CBSE handbook problems in perpetuity. I will also try to post some problems next video on ML Agrawal problems on perpetuity, so that that topic is completely covered. Okay, and see you in the next video. Do not forget to subscribe and click the bell button for further subscription. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.